Okay. Can you guys hear me at all? Let me know if you guys can. You should be able to. Oh, man. Let's see. There we go. Looks like it's starting up. Yeah, let me know if you guys can hear me at all. You guys can. Okay. Cage had a really good question. Cage, and we're going to do a little bit of discussion real quick about convergence, about DC and stuff like that, because tomorrow I'm releasing a video where we go over DC, where we're like, okay, guys, look, here's why convergence is happening. Here is the first time we saw the multiverse and all that kind of good stuff. So what we're going to do here is what you're going to see tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be for anybody that didn't see this live stream. Okay. So Cage asked, why is there like an Earth 2 and Earth 3, so on and so forth, in the DC continuity? All right, so originally you had the golden age of comic books. You had DC, all right, 1934 is pretty much when it got founded. It didn't really call itself like DC Incorporated until later on, but that's pretty much the company that became DC. And you had like Malcolm Mueller, Nicholson, and you had a lot of other stuff that went on, but nonetheless, you had what would become DC Comics. During the Golden Age, there was one continuity. That was it. You had Jay Garrick, the original Flash. You had Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. You had Superman. You had Batman. You had these old school characters. All right. Like our conversations, our videos where we talked about like Captain America and stuff like that, comic book characters, superheroes began to go away at the end of the Golden Age. And so like the original Flash was canceled. That Jay Garrick Flash went away. I think it was issue number 108 or something like that. Green Lantern was canceled. All right. And what DC did is they kept like Batman, they kept Superman, they kept Wonder Woman because they were mainstays. They weren't going to go anywhere. And so as a result, you got around to the Silver Age of comic books in 1954, 1956, something like that, when DC basically like revitalized interest in superheroes again. And so that's when you saw the Flash come back. All right. The Flash was their first like delve into bringing superheroes back. That's when they gave us Barry Allen. The Green Lantern came back with Hal Jordan. Now, the Flash is really important, and the reason why is because this is where Cage's question gets answered. In 1961, DC launched a story called The Flash of Two Worlds. And what this did is it told us that the Golden Age superheroes still existed. They're still there. They're still doing their thing. They're still whatever. Some of them are retired. Some of them have left. Like Jay Garrick, for example, the original Flash wasn't the Flash anymore. Like he wasn't an active superhero. He still had his powers. He just wasn't an active superhero. But nonetheless, the fact remains that that's the reason why you have alternate realities, because with that story, Flash of Two Worlds, they introduce Earth 2. And that is the Golden Age of Superheroes timeline from DC Comics. And so the Golden Age Batman exists in that timeline. The Golden Age Superman, the Golden Age Flash, the Golden Age Green Lantern, they all exist in that timeline. From there, DC had the opportunity to create a million different stories. They had this huge alternate reality concept now, and they ran with it. And then in the video that I'll upload tomorrow, we'll get more into that, where we talk about how it all just kind of came to a head, and they basically fixed everything, or tried to fix everything, with a Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then you had other stuff, and then you had the New 52, and so on and so forth. Now, another person asked the question, with convergence happening, is now a good time to get into DC's continuity? Yes. In tomorrow's video, I will have a list in the description of the titles that are being canceled after convergence and the titles that are continuing after convergence. But the continuity that DC established with the New 52 is going to keep going. That history of Superman is going to keep going. That history of Batman is going to keep going. It's just, they're basically just going to like reconcile their lineup, and they're going to look at the stories that aren't doing very well, and they're going to get rid of them. They're going to look at the ones that are doing so-so, and they're going to give them a second chance, and they're going to keep the ones that are doing well, because why would you cancel a story that's doing well? I'm drinking a protein shake, by the way. I'm back in the gym, and I feel so much better. Like, I feel so much healthier and happier. That's one of the reasons why I took off this week, was I could get back into the gym and just focus on being in the gym. And it was hell. Like, this week was a nightmare. I mean, okay, Wally West is cool, but nonetheless, it was rough this week. Let me put this microphone down a little bit. There we go. It was rough this week. Like it was, oh my God. Like I hurt everywhere, and there was one point like I'd worked the upper body, and I was laying in bed, and I was just like, and like every time I went to move, I'd move like that. It was so awful. God, it was just so painful. But anyway, so okay, so the first things first. All right, here's one of the things that I want to do. Since this is going to be like a weekly thing, comics and coffee every Sunday, I want to bring the patrons, the Patreon people into this. So if you're a Patreon member, then send me a message on Patreon and say, hey, like I want to be part of the thing. I'm not going to have everybody on there at one time. I might have like two people on there with me or something like that, or just one other person. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I never have coffee on. I'm never going to have coffee on this thing. But nonetheless, yeah, send me a message on Patreon and just say, hey, I want to be on there, and I'll have a couple people on here with me, and we'll talk about stuff. But I'm not doing the insanity workout. Yeah, fuck that noise. Like I've I've heard of that. No way. Like the one I'm doing right now is awful. Oh my God, it's a difficult workout. I mean, a friend of mine, Pierce, is whipping me into shape, which is really good. But one of the things that he's doing is he had me doing like supersets, and so I had to do like tricep pull downs, and then I like went directly into dips, and it was brutal. So I work out at the YMCA, which is good because it's like a good old fashioned gym. So, all right, it's a protein shake. All right, so questions. Let the questions roll in. Let's scroll up. Scroll up. Let's scroll up. Let's scroll up and see what's up. Oh, here's something. Have you guys read New Avengers number 30 yet? Because if you haven't, we find out who killed the Living Tribunal. Hooray for multiversal destruction. All right. Okay. Do you think the idea of creating Battle World instead of using actual planet Earth is a good idea? Do you think it might become less appealing to new readers? Not really, because a lot of people who are going to be looking at Secret Wars 2015, they know of the original Secret Wars, but they don't know enough about it that it's really going to matter. They're just going to kind of be like, whatever, they don't care. In truth, I could probably do a video about Secret Wars 2000 or the original Secret Wars, but that original Secret Wars has no real bearing on what's going on right now, with the exception of the fact that you have Battle World. That's really the only thing that ties those two together. The reason why Marvel's using the concept of Battle World from Secret Wars is because in the original Secret Wars, the Beyonder made it so all the superheroes could fight, with the exception of Contest of Champions. I think it's like the first major crossover between all the most popular Marvel characters. And so as a result, they just took the idea and they said, okay, let's make Battle World basically like a big world of realities. Let's just kind of do that and see where we go from there. But no, I don't think it really. I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, new readers aren't going to care. New readers who are going to sit down during Secret Wars or post Secret Wars and want to know what they should be reading are just going to look and they're going to say, okay, like I want to read the X-Men. Like I love the X-Men, so they're just going to sit down and read X-Men 92, and that's really going to be it. Do you think Battle World Secret Wars will eventually lead to the complete reboot of the Marvel Universe? I think it will. I think that at some point after Secret Wars, I think Marvel's looking at Secret Wars and they're looking to see how it does. Because in truth, Marvel's like a car. All right, like it's time for a tune-up. It's time for just replace the parts and just go from there. I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to look at the idea of what's going on with Secret Wars, and if it's successful, then they're going to come back and they're probably just going to reboot the continuity of all their characters. That's not to say they're going to change the continuity. I think they're just going to adjust it. So they're going to say, all right, if you guys want to read Spider-Man, just start here. Start with this Spider-Man issue number 1 and go from there. That was the problem with Marvel Now. A lot of people thought Marvel Now was a reboot. A lot of people who were going into Marvel Comics thought that Marvel Now was a reboot. So you could read All New Captain Marvel number 1. You could read All New Captain America number 1. And people were like, oh yes, cool. Like Steve Rogers. I guess I'm going to be able to start up with the life of Steve Rogers from here. That's Captain Falcon. So I don't know. It's really going to be an interesting thing. It's going to be pretty cool to see what it is that they do, but I think it'll lead to them rebooting everything. Let's see. Let's scroll back down. Still upset that the Beyonder was neutered by Bendis. Well, the Beyonders get the Beyonders. Okay, so here's a spoiler. Here's a. Let me know if you guys want me to spoil it for you guys. Like what happens in New Avengers number 30? Like because yeah, the Living Tribunal dies, but there's a lot of other stuff besides that. Why doesn't Franklin Richards in the multiverse stop Battle World? Because he's dead. Or the kid Franklin Richards is dead. I guess the one who exists in the multiverse. I assume you're talking about the one that Captain America talked to, like 10,000 years in the future in Avengers. If that's the one you're talking about, then let me know. People are like, spoil that shit. Spoil it away. The Ivory Kings killed the Living Tribunal. Now, the Ivory Kings are the Beyonders, which we didn't know. I had no idea. I did not know that Hickman, like, when I was reading New Avengers number 29, and, like, Hank Pym came back and was like, hey guys, I'm back, and, like, there's some really bad shit happening. And they're like, okay, like, what is it that's happening? And he's like, well, like, the Beyonders are basically just, like, killing everybody. And he's, you know, like, Reed Richards is like, what? Like, what do you mean they're killing everybody? He's like, okay. So here's what Hank Pym did. Hank Pym was sent by Reed Richards to try to find a way to end the incursions. And so, I'm sorry, to try to find the source of the incursions, to try to find Rabu Malal. And so as a result, we're going to vape a bit. Oh yeah, I'll tell you guys about my vaping thing here in a second. But as a result, he started going through the multiverse. But the problem is that the way that Hank Pym explained it, the multiverse is like stages, like I don't know, like layers. That's what I want to say. The multiverse is layers. And so as he describes it, there's like no real perfect north. Okay. Who is this guy? We're just going to block that guy. Spam in the chat. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this is New Avengers number 30 is where this is being told us. So anyway, so Hank Pym was sent by Reed Richards to try to find a way to end to try to find Rabu Malal. And so as a result, except you're there for me. What a that sucks, man. I'm sorry to laugh, but that's kind of messed up. Onions have layers. Yes, they do. In any event, I got to get through this because people are like, Rob, just fucking tell me what happens. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys what happens. So anyway, so Hank Pym is basically like trying to find a north. He's trying to like make a compass out of this, basically. He's trying to find what direction he should go in order to find where Raboom Alal is. And so along the way, he hitches a ride on the map makers. But what he learns is that where the map makers had previously only been able to jump through, I guess, alternate realities, or only been able to ride the in-between space, which is like the area between realities, that somehow they've managed to find a way to basically jump through the multiverse, to like jump from one reality to the next. Not only that, they've managed to be able to coordinate all their efforts. And so all this ties into the Beyonders, and the Beyonders are apparently doing their own thing. But nonetheless, all this comes to a head when Hank Pym watches the Beyonders kill Infinity, Eternity, the Living Tribunal, Master Order, Lord Chaos, the Celestial Host across multiple realities. And it's not until like after they've killed almost all the cosmic entities from all these different realities that they finally are confronted with the Living Tribunal, and they just kill him. They're just like dead. And I was like, oh my God, like holy shit. And so, like, because all this is taking place in other realities where time changes differently, when the Living Tribunal falls through the multiverse, he lands on the moon. And that's why when we read New Avengers, issue number 8, I think, and the Watcher had called, before the Watcher was killed by Nick Fury, he had called Iron Man to the moon and said, like, dude, the Living Tribunal is laying here and he's dead. This is the Living Tribunal. Like, what the hell are we going to do? That's when that happened. And so when the story comes to an end, when the comic comes to an end, Hank Pym's like, look, dude, like, the Beyonders are killing everybody. Like, they're killing cosmic entities. There's nothing we can do. And so we've got 2 months until time runs out. And that's it. Shit got real in this last issue. So it's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Like, I'm pretty psyched. The Beyonders See, this is the quagmire. The Beyonder, Secret War Beyonder, is a totally different entity. He's basically a cosmic cube. The Beyonders are far more powerful. I mean, the Beyonders kill the Living Tribunal. They're far more powerful. Like, they're stupid powerful. So, I would say if they have the power to kill the Living Tribunal, then they're on par with the One Above All. You said the Living Tribunal video that without the Infinity Gauntlet, everything would just die. All right, I have no idea what you mean. The not so living tribunal, yeah, that's crazy. Um, but this is the case. This is what Marvel's telling us. Since like the incursions started and we ran into Black Swan, she would make references to the Ivory Kings. We never knew who the Ivory Kings were. We had no idea who they were. We never saw them. We saw the Black Priests. And so we were like, okay, who the hell are the Ivory Kings? The Ivory Kings are the Beyonders. So for those of you guys who I've just spoiled the hell out of this for and haven't gotten up to this point, the Beyonders are the Ivory Kings. Okay, guys. People are asking, okay, what's this deal with the Beyonder? Like, okay. I've got a video explaining the Beyonder. But to give you guys a really quick runoff, the Beyonder is a cosmic cube. All right, he is composed of energy that was supposed to become a cosmic cube, but didn't. The Beyonders created the energy that would become cosmic cubes. So think of the Beyonders as like the father of the Beyonder, like the big dad who's crazy and powerful. So, you can't post links in the chat. Um, Not the Gauntlet, the dude. Let's see. Are you going to do a for the first Secret Wars explained video? I probably won't do the original Secret Wars. There's no reason to. The Beyonders are really the writers. Not really. They're not really like writers or anything. They're just stupid, powerful characters. They're just kind of being added in here as a way to basically explain their role within the cosmos, within the entire Marvel thing. Because keep in mind, guys, this Secret Wars thing is all the realities. It's not just Earth 616. It's any and all realities that have ever been hinted to, ever been written about, ever had full stories done on them in Marvel Comics. Which, yeah, that's a lot of shit. All right. So will the entire battle world all be separate countries dealing with their own stuff, or will we see a giant world involved battle plot? Okay, that's a really good question. What Marvel's told us is that the way they're doing Secret Wars, the way they're doing Battle World is they're basically going to have like all these realities or what's left converging into a single location. And then they're all going to fight. And then after that, they're going to split into their own thing. Oh my God, that Jason Landry guy is okay. Jason Landry, ask your question again. Ask it in a way where it all makes sense, and then I'll answer it if I can. Do I think the Avengers are going to shoot Hulk into space at the end of Age of Ultron? Yeah. They're probably going to send him away. What's my favorite individual DC comic? Ooh. Damn, that's a tough one. There was one comic, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it was the first DC comic that I had. And it was, I want to say it was like a guy, there was Batman, and then there was some great big huge guy that was dressed all in black that was going after Batman, I think. And that's really all I remember. But I'll always remember that story. It's one of the coolest ones. I guess I won't always remember that story, will I? Yeah. I understood what you meant, Hart. Yeah, I think they're going to shoot him into space. I think there's going to be a way for Marvel to basically kind of write the Hulk out of future stories so that things can be reasonable. Planet Hulk. They're not going to do a Planet Hulk film. I think Marvel already came out and said that's not going to happen. In Secret Wars, what's It's the Wall? It has Age of Ultron and Marvel Zombies trapped inside, but what is it? I already did a series of videos about Spider-Verse. Hot stuff. So in the Battle World, where will be the Beyonders? We don't know if the Beyonders are going to be in Battle World. We don't know if they're going to be killed off before Battle World starts. So they probably will. They'll probably be destroyed before Battle World ends. They'll probably be killed by Rabuma Law because as far as we can tell, The Beyonders are trying to wipe out everything before Rabumalal can do it. And so maybe they want to remake reality. We're not really sure, but I have a feeling there'll be some great big like that'll be part of these secret wars, or like the big battle that takes place where the Beyonders will be killed off. They'll be destroyed. All right. What reality are you most looking forward to seeing in Battle World? X-Men 92. Hell yeah. Shit, man. Take it all the way back to the 90s, to the early 90s X-Men. I'm so down for that. Rob, wouldn't Hulk stand in for Ben Grimm in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do you mean the opposite? Because Marvel doesn't have the rights to Ben Grimm in the films. Those belong to Fox. Would you like a Dark Reign story for Phase 4? Not really. I mean, I was never a big fan of like Dark Reign, Fear Itself. I didn't really like either of those stories that much. All right. Let's see. Rob, are there any comics I can just jump in? Yes, there are a lot of comics you can actually just jump into. What are you a fan of? Are you a fan of Marvel or DC? It's a vape pen, diggity dog, diggy dog. Okay, guys. So yeah, I told you guys I'd tell you about my e-cig stuff. This right here is a IPV 2.0, I think. The actual box is. It's my mod basically. It's basically like a big battery. It's the best way to describe it. And then I actually went out and got the extended tank. This is a 5 milliliter tank, I think, for the Aspire Atlantis tank, and yeah, it's amazing. Oh my god. Mm. The juice I have in here is so good. It's Fight Your Fate by King's Crown, which are the same people that made Suicide Bunny. And then I also, and this one's actually really good too, I also got Uncle Junk's John Wayne, and I got these from 723 Vapor here in Lexington. But I got Uncle Junk's John Wayne, which is like a tobacco flavor, and it is, oh my god, it is so good. It is just like a solid. Any of you guys out there who are looking for a good tobacco flavor, Uncle Junk's John Wayne is, man, it's good. Okay, so back to the questions. Do I think Spider-Man overshadows Panther? Yeah. And Spider-Man identified with teenagers. He broke the mold for teenagers in comic books. Black Panther broke the mold by introducing blacks into comic books as like superheroes. But Spider-Man just has a much bigger legacy than Black Panther does. Shouldn't Civil War be more than just one movie? Yes. Oh my God, we've talked about Civil War so much, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But yes, Civil War should be more than one movie. Let's see. Since they don't have the Thing, and Thing's part of Civil War was avoidance, like the start of Avengers 1. Oh, yeah. I understand what you're saying. I mean, see, that's the thing. Like the Thing was like, I'm not going to pick a side, and it wasn't until the very end that he finally chose a side. Yeah, there was actually a point in Civil War where he left and went to Paris, which was a stupid story because like you followed the Thing, and it was dumb. But nonetheless, I mean, not having the rights to the Thing would just probably make it easier for them to do Civil War. But I don't know. Yeah, Marvel needs to go to Jim Lee and be like, look, dude, we'll pay you like $20 million if you just draw X-Men 92. And Marvel fans would shit. They would shit all over themselves. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Let's see. Am I Hispanic? No, I'm not Hispanic. 20 points to whoever it is that guesses what my ethnicity is. I'll tell you what, whoever guesses what my ethnicity is, send me a message. Send me an email, rob@marvelexplained.com. The first person to get it right, no, better yet, go to theweeklypool.net, all right, and post up what you think my ethnicity is in the Comics Explained section, all right. The first one to post the right answer will get to join me next week for this. Maybe, as long as you're not crazy. So, who will the villain be in the Defenders? What do you think of Secret Wars? Okay. I don't know who the villain's going to be in Defenders. I think it'll probably just be Kingpin. I don't know why they wouldn't just introduce him in Daredevil and then just not bring him back for the Defenders, because I see me talking about like the Netflix, once all the solo stories are done and they go into like the Defenders proper. I don't know why they wouldn't just use Kingpin. I mean, Kingpin's going to be a pretty cool character. He'll have a lot of henchmen at his disposal. I think over the course of like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, we're going to see some pretty formidable, even if only like street level villains. We're going to see them introduced, and I think it's really going to all come to a head when they take on the name the Defenders and then go against, Kingpin. The real question is, are they going to fold into the Marvel Cinematic Universe later on? Rob, I have Marvel Unlimited. If you have that app, could you recommend some books from it? I am lost in their vast amounts of books. I see this question on Reddit Marvel all the time. We need some more DC questions, by the way, guys. Ask some DC questions. All right, with regards to that, with Secret Wars coming up and all these alternate realities, X-Men 92, or I guess X-Men number 1 from 1991, which you'll definitely want to read that. That's what's going to be what X-Men 92 is going to be based off of. As far as I understand, it's going to be like a throwback to that kind of art and storytelling. If you're interested in Wolverine, go read Fatal Attractions. That's when Wolverine gets the adamantium ripped out of his body. Onslaught's a really good one. Let's see. Civil War, if you haven't read that one already. Secret Invasion, Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is really kind of the catalyst that sparked all this stuff, where everything just sort of like went crazy, where Wolverine broke time. It really kind of depends on what kind of like character or team you like, because Marvel's stories are largely character and team centric, and crossovers are just like that. And so if you're a fan of the Avengers, then it'll be very easy to pick out Avengers stories for you. If you're a fan of the X-Men, if you're a fan of Captain America, so on and so forth, it'd be pretty easy to do that. Let's see. What is a good jumping off point for getting into the Inhumans? Okay, if you want to read the Inhumans, start out with Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee's 1998. You can read, I would say like spot read, the Thor, I think it's Thor number 144 to 147. I'm not going to swear to that though, but that gives you the origins of the Inhumans, like how it was the Inhumans came to be on the planet Earth. I've got a video that gives you all the comics and stuff like that, all the actual, the comic numbers, so you can go back and you can look at that. Let's see. War of Kings is a really good one. Realm of Kings is a decent one. The problem with the Inhumans is there aren't a lot of like stories centered around the Inhumans. It's usually the Inhumans are there because everybody else is there. But Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee's, that's part of the Marvel Knights. That's definitely a good one. Inhumanity is a decent one. I mean, it's okay. Infinity, the section that deals with Black Bolt and Thanos and so on. The problem with Infinity is it's difficult to separate the stories that involve the Inhumans from the stories that involve the Avengers. It's all just kind of rolled into one. Like you'll be reading one comic, like Infinity number 2, and then halfway through it'll jump to the Inhumans, and so you really can't buy like the section of Infinity based on Inhumans, but nonetheless, that'll be a good enough starting point for you to jump into. Have you checked out Blackest Night, Brightest? I actually haven't, but I've heard that that's really, really good. Like, Benny was telling me all about it. Benny was like, man, you really, really, really got to read. Oh my God, there were so many questions while I was answering that. Theweeklypool.net. That is the website for me and the other guys. It's administrated by the fabulous duo of Tiffany and Danielle, who have been awesome in really keeping everything on track. Let's see. What do you think about the new Joker origin? I wasn't aware there was a new Joker origin. God, I have so much stuff I need to get back into with DC Comics. See, this is what happens when you start a YouTube channel and you have like a back catalog of 300 videos about Marvel channels. It's just like, okay, I got to get back into DC. Do you think there will be more of the Spider-Verse in Secret Wars? Yeah, there's going to be other versions of Spider-Man in Secret Wars. I mean, keep in mind, during Spider-Verse, all they did was find, those are the Spider-Man they could find. Those are the ones that they could just get a hold of. Not to say all the other ones. I mean, there's an infinite number of realities. Not to say there are. I mean, there's Spider-Man that were probably killed off during the incursions. There's Spider-Man they just couldn't find. There's reality they just weren't aware of. I mean, there's a lot of things. They didn't get every single Spider-Man ever that was still alive. There's no way they could have. There just wasn't enough time. But do you think they'll use the TV show Arrow in the Justice League movies? I think they'd be kind of silly not to. Yeah, they need to use. They need to use the Arrow. Here's the thing, guys. I started watching Arrow, and I was like, I'm not really sure how I feel about Arrow. I started watching it, and I was like, okay, the acting's kind of like meh, and Stephen Amell's like, okay, like I've got this rigid, like he always looks like he just finished working out. He's like, I walk, like this, and there's like this rigid stance on how he moves. But the more I've watched it, the more it's really, really grown on me, and it's actually really, really good so far. Mm. Oh my god, drinking my protein shake like a slob. But this is actually banana and mango and a scoop of vanilla protein and ice and a tablespoon of honey, and it is amazing. Okay, who will be the Spider-Man in the MCU? Because I'm so excited for him joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have no idea. They have not at any point gone back and said, here's what we're going to cast for Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, we don't know who they're going to pick. Let's see. I asked earlier about your favorite individual DC comic. What graphic novels would you suggest people read? Oh God, there's a bunch of really good graphic novels. Superman Red Sun. The Superman Red Sun is hands down one of the best stories that I've ever read. Basically, it's a story that tells us what the world and what Superman would be like if Superman had landed in Russia. And if he was basically raised by the Russians, what would his life be like? What would the world look like? And one of the really cool things that Mark Miller does with this is he takes like real world events, like historical events, and he changes them around. He makes them different. And so he adjusts them. Like one of the cool things is, just to really, I guess, get into a little bit of history here, you had World War II. All right, World War II came to an end. You had all the territories that had previously been conquered by Germany. And the question became, okay, fine, since those governments don't really exist anymore, like what do we do with all this stuff? And so as a result, like the main powers of the world, the United States and Russia, we started like dividing up sections of those areas. We just started chopping them up and taking them in. And so as a result, what the United States and Russia engaged in following that was a series of proxy wars. That's what the Cold War was. Russia was trying to expand communism since, I guess, the era of Stalin and so on. They were trying to make communism the standard by which people lived. And so they basically sided, or I guess they got other countries to side with them. The United States was trying to expand capitalism. And so that's why you had the Vietnam War. That's why you had the Korean War. They were a series of proxy wars that were the main war, or I guess part of the main war for the Cold War. But nonetheless, there's a lot of other politics and stuff to get into, but this is not a political channel. So we're not going to go into the politics of the Cold War and the benefits or, negligible concepts of Marxism and stuff like. We're not going to go into all that. Do you think Superman's new power is overpowered? I don't think so. I think it's just like anything else. I mean, Superman getting a new power is like Windows releasing an update, or a game coming out or something like that. There's a few bugs. They'll get it sorted out. I don't think so. I think that it was time for Superman to have a change. I think that Superman's run-of-the-mill abilities, super strength, X-ray vision, frost breath, stuff like that, I think it was time for that to go away. I think it was, or I guess to something be added to it. I think it was time for a change. And I think DC knew that. I think DC knew that Superman was getting a little stale with his abilities, because here's a question you have to ask. Aside from alternate reality stories like Red Sun, how can you make Superman interesting? Like, give me a story where Superman uses his powers and he fights a villain and it's captivating. Like, how cool can you make somebody like Superman who can do anything? That's one of the reasons why Batman is so popular, because Batman's just a regular guy. He's really rich and he has gadgets, but at the end of the day, his intellect is his only real important thing. So, all right. God, we got to scroll down. All right, I'm going to have to skip over a few questions, guys. So if you want your questions answered, you're going to have to ask them again. All right, let's see. Cold War explained. What do you think about Arrow adapting Batman storylines? I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing because it makes people able to identify with Arrow. More so than that, if the time ever comes when DC decides to not have their universe fragmented and decides to actually bring it into a combined universe, then I think eventually people will be able to relate to Arrow and they'll be able to say, okay, cool. Like, I like this guy because he's like Batman. And that's really going to be what makes his character popular, I think, or more popular than it already is as far as the TV shows. Can we see some sort of 1602 in screen? You mean like in a film? Or I'm not sure what you mean. In the story about Tiamat, the Dreaming Celestial, is the Fulcrum considered the one above all? Or is the one above all a different thing to the Fulcrum? I knew people were going to, like, when people started asking about the Eternals, I was like, oh my god, they're going to ask about the Fulcrum. Alright, look. The Fulcrum appears in like 5 pages of the new Eternals. And supposedly he's like this uber powerful demigod, one above all kind of guy. We don't know. We don't know if the Fulcrum is the one above all in a different form. We don't know if the Fulcrum is separate from the one above all. I mean, a Fulcrum is, by its definition, kind of, I guess, like an end all, like the finality of something. But I don't know. We don't know. Marvel hasn't come out and said, here's what the Fulcrum is. They're just kind of like, there's a Fulcrum. Think what you want. And that's it. It kind of sucks that they chose to do that, but that's pretty much what it is. That's why I prefer the Sentry over Superman. But see, here's the difference. The Sentry is just a guy who's battling, well, I guess he is a little more interesting. He's a guy that's battling, or supposedly battling, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder. I guess 2 separate things. But nonetheless, what do you think how they have Miles Morales in Earth 616? Like, what do I think about them having Miles Morales in Earth 616? I'm not sure what you mean. Will the weekly poll continue on Tuesday? Yes. Am I planning to do Death in the Family soon? I may or may not. It depends. A lot of the DC stories that we're probably going to do are going to be stories that are going to be part of Convergence. So, half crumb, quarter crumb. I have not seen the Power Rangers short film. I saw the little advertisement for it. I meant to see it. Here's another question: have you guys seen that Superman or the Spider-Man short film? The one where he's approached by Shield. That was actually really cool. It was probably filmed with $18 and a camcorder, but it was done really well. One of the best videos I've seen in a long time. Let's see. Are you from Houston? No, I'm not. Yes, I will explain Daisy Johnson. We will explain Daisy Johnson before the new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes out. Because people need to know who the hell she is. And people need to ask themselves a question, why the hell did Marvel choose Daisy Johnson of all people? Quake? Really? Let's see. I think Batman has a plan to defeat every other good guy. But he could still fail to do it, I think. I mean, yeah, that was the Tower of Babel. Batman had plans on how to defeat all the other members of the Justice League. And then Ra's al Ghul, I think is how you pronounce it, took him and then used him on the Justice League. It was one of the funniest scenes because like Superman's just like, and Batman's like, oh, I did this to you. It's hilarious. Let's see. Can Marvel use universes in the multiverse in which characters like the Transformers, Doctor Who, and the Planet of the Apes, which Marvel made comics for at one point in time in Secret Wars? No, they can't because they don't have the rights to those. Let's see. Brotherhood of Mutants explained. We may or may not. Did I watch Power Rangers growing up? Hell yeah, I did. The original Power Rangers. I remember when the Green Ranger showed up and the Green Ranger whooped everybody's ass. Like, that was hilarious. Like, I think, what was her name? Kimberly? She was like, oh my god, Tommy, he's so cute, he's so dreamy, he's got like the bad boy look without the bad boy attitude, and then he got the bad boy attitude and then beat them all up. It was freaking hilarious. He shot an energy ball at him. He shot a fireball at him. God, everything was just so over accentuated. They're like, we got to make all these noises while we're punching and kicking, and it's just... yes, I watched X-Men Evolution. X-Men Evolution was actually pretty good. I might watch that here in a little while, actually, now that I think about it. Do I have wax in my vaporizer? No. Why would I do that? uh, will you make a movie on the Terrigen Mist bomb? Or make a video on the Terrigen Mist bomb? How will it affect the Marvel Universe leading forward? And will mutants slowly get less attention in the Marvel Universe? I don't know. I mean, that's one of the things that was kind of out there. Like, Marvel was like, yes, the Terrigen Mist bomb went off, and yes, it caused inhumanity, but, for the and we don't know what happened after that. I just really haven't gone too in depth into it. What do I think of Lobo? Lobo, I think, if I remember correctly, was originally designed to be a parody on Wolverine, and Lobo's hilarious. He's brutal, like he's a really dark character, but I think it'd be pretty interesting. DC does have good animated movies. Um, what do you think about Marvel killing off all the Fox characters? It makes sense. Why would Marvel continue to advertise characters they don't have the rights for in the films? I mean, Marvel's clearly going in the direction of bringing their films and their comics down a similar road, and so their focus is going to be on the characters they have the rights to in both the films and the comics, or I guess in the films because they have the rights to all the comic book characters. But um, I don't know. I mean, I think that's necessary. I think it needs to be done. That Wolverine got killed off. Spider Man's the only exception here, but that's because he's like the face of Marvel. Um, the Fantastic Four, the end is forever. The Fantastic Four are going away. All that kind of stuff. It makes sense to me that Marvel's doing that. Daisy is Shield, though. How will they talk about Mr. Hyde? Crusher Creel is going to be in Daredevil. Not sure if he's coming back to Agents of Shield. See, I didn't know they were going to send Crusher Creel to Daredevil. That's actually pretty cool. It'll give Daredevil like a decent foe to face, because in truth, I'd get really bored of that series in the first couple episodes if I learned that all he's going to be doing is just beating up guys who are robbing banks. That's just dumb. Um, what role will the Fantastic Four play in Secret Wars? They won't. The Fantastic Four are going to be dead, or they're going to be gone. Let's see. Uh, Marvel Zombies versus Age of Ultron. What do I think will happen? I think Age of Ultron will probably kill Marvel Zombies. I'm not really sure. Or the Marvel Zombies universe will just spill over into the Age of Ultron. Which would be a really cool question. What would happen? Can Ultron be infected by the zombie virus? I mean, imagine that. Like, he would just be rusted, just like staggering around. He would look like the Ultron from the Age of Ultron trailer. The strings. Let's see. When will you upload the Superman documentary video? That's something that I'm just working on right now. It'll be a little bit before that gets finished. I mean, that was just an idea. Like, we still have the Malcolm Miller Nicholson era to talk about, the launch of DC Comics. There's some other stuff that needs to go into that. That's just more of a thing that I'm going to upload one day, and then I'll probably upload the next part, several weeks after or something like that. It'll just kind of be this ongoing thing. I was told the MCU is going to have Civil War stem from the Mutant Registration Act rather than follow the traditional comic storyline. Is that going to happen? I'm not really sure, actually, but that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make any sense for Marvel, since they don't have the rights to mutants in their films, to launch a Mutant Registration Act to initiate that. It wouldn't make any sense. I mean, there's no mutants, so who's going to register? Let's see. I advise you to read the new Inhumans comics. It's really okay. I'll check it out. What are my thoughts on Spider-Gwen? I mean, people seem to love her. I don't really the strings. I'm not a big fan of Spider-Gwen, but I'm not a really big fan of like the Spider-Verse in general. Like, I don't really like Spider-Man that much. I mean, he's a guy that swings around and complains. I don't really like him. Hello, Cameron. Cameron, we need to play some Minecraft today later on, by the way. Send me a message on Skype. Black Rings. Let's see, your dream team of the Four Horsemen in the X-Men Apocalypse film. Oh, God, man. Okay. Gambit, definitely. Wolverine. Now, who would they play? Because Gambit's played Death, I think. Wolverine's played Death. So Wolverine can play Death. Gambit can play Gambit can play War. Let's see. Rogue. Rogue can play Pestilence Pestilence or Famine, it doesn't really matter. Let's say Famine, because right now she touches people and it saps their life force. So imagine she could just do that on a broad scale. Let's see. And then I don't want to see Charles Xavier because they did that in X-Men Evolution. That's been done before. Um, I don't know. Tell me who you guys think should play Pestilence. Tell me who you think the Last Horseman should be, because we've got Gambit playing War, we've got Wolverine playing Famine, or I'm sorry, playing Death, and we've got Rogue playing Famine. Let me know who you think should play Pestilence. Uh, I should stream me playing Minecraft on Twitch or something. Me and Cameron, we need to get like a bunch of people together and play Minecraft. Which, by the way, that would be relatively soon. When are you going to finish Court of Owls? When I finish it. What do you think the new Marvel Universe will be like? Hold on a second. Questions are coming in too fast. Do you think the new Marvel Universe will be more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? No, I don't think so. All Marvel's doing with Battle World is they're just consolidating all their most popular stories, the most successful stories, and putting them into a single location. Do I really believe Wolverine, the Fantastic Four, etc. are gone for good? I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but crap. Um, Damn it. I just lost that question. But no, I don't really think they're gone for good. I don't think they're going to be gone forever. I think they're definitely going to come back. Um, I mean, there's. Oh, yeah, okay, here we go. But I don't know that I like them having the big effect on the comics. Um, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the other thing you got to consider, too, is that ever since Hickman stopped writing the Fantastic Four, their stories just haven't been that interesting. Like, there've only been a handful of times when the Fantastic Four had really good stories. The original stories with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Mark Waid, and Jonathan Hickman, and that's it. I mean, there really haven't been a lot of amazing writers for the Fantastic Four over the years. Because the Fantastic Four were like they were the characters, they were the team that introduced a lot of superheroes. If Marvel was wanting to make a superhero big in Marvel Comics, if they were wanting to make a team or a character big, they introduced them in the Fantastic Four. But the problem was you had groups like the Avengers, you had the X-Men, who just achieved a level of popularity that the Fantastic Four just really couldn't match because the Fantastic Four were becoming increasingly irrelevant as time progressed. And ultimately that led to Marvel shelving the really good writers away from Fantastic Four and having those really good writers write for the X-Men and for individual characters and the Avengers and so on and so forth. And so as a result, the Fantastic Four stories just kind of stopped being good over time. But I don't know. Let's see. Never touched Marvel in my life other than the movies. Should I even pick up Secret Wars? No, you don't need to read the original Secret Wars. Um, my suggestion would be to, and I might make a video about this, about where to start with Secret Wars 2015. My suggestion would be to go to marvel.com/Secret Wars and look at all the different alternate realities and then decide which one of those you want to read. Now, keep in mind, they're going to be like retellings of, I think I already did that with Secret Wars, now that I think about it. But nonetheless, I think that they're going to be like retellings or they're going to be continuations of those stories. But those stories there are the ones you're going to want to check out. So Marvel Zombies, Age of Ultron, Age of Apocalypse, stuff like that. You're going to want to read those. Um, let's see. I'd prefer they stop doing new Spider-Man characters and focus on the really good ones. Let's see. What do you think about the rumor that Avengers 2 Age of Ultron will be 2 hours and 40 minutes? I don't think it's a rumor. I think it was confirmed. I'm down with that. I'll sit in the theater for 3 hours and watch Avengers just start ripping people to pieces and watch the Avengers get torn to pieces by Ultron. I'm down with that. Let's see. Opinions on Fantastic Four? Yeah, I don't. They were important once, but they're not too important anymore. What about Earth 616 versus Ultimate Universe? What would happen? Well, see, here's the interesting thing. Like, in the Ultimate Universe, for example, Jessica Drew, that version of Spider-Woman, is Black Widow in that universe. Like, she's gone through all the stuff. She's a super cool thing. The current run of Black Widow in Marvel Comics in Earth 616 is decent. Her solo series is really good. But while she's been around for a long time, the ultimate version of Jessica Drew, or of Black Widow, seems a lot more capable. And so here's the question: are they going to get rid of Natasha Romanoff and replace her with Jessica Drew? But probably not. And the reason why is because it'd be easier to stick with Natasha Romanoff because she's known to the public now. Like, through the Avengers films, people know who she is. And so I would say they'll probably kill off Jessica Drew from the Ultimate Universe. That would go away. A lot of the Ultimate characters, they're probably going to kill off because a lot of the films out there that exist that Marvel doesn't have the rights to are like the Fantastic Four, for example, are using stories or using the origins that are largely tied into the Ultimate Fantastic Four. And so as a result, there really isn't a need for them to keep them if they're looking at getting rid of origins, characters, stories, so on, that basically detract away from Marvel itself and gives credence to the films that Marvel doesn't have the rights to. So I think they'll probably get rid of that. The Last Horseman should be Iceman. Let's see. Will you be doing explain videos on some of the realities showing up in Battle World? Yes. Inferno, Old Man Logan, Weird World, Devil Dinosaur, 1602. Yes. What I'm going to be doing is we're going to be starting with convergence, and we're going to be doing a series of lead up videos for convergence. Basically, the first one explaining what convergence is. The next one going into some of the most popular stories that are going to be part of convergence. And then we're going to do the same thing with Battle World. Here's what Secret Wars 2015 is. Here are some of the stories you should be reading about Secret Wars 2015, and then we're going to go into those stories. And there goes Cameron sending me a message. So awesome. What did Cameron say? I mean, can I have like a Silver Surfer skin? That'd be awesome. Let's see. They got rid of the spider clones. Shouldn't Jessica Drew be dead? As far as I know, she survived. The Ben Reilly died during Spider-Verse, but as far and what's his name? Kane died, but as far as I know, Jessica Drew's still alive, or she might be dead. I don't remember. I hated Spider-Verse, to be honest. Can you do an explained video and explain about who owns what in the cinematic universe? I mean, I guess I could. Who owns the rights to what? Like how it came to be that way? Why did Marvel sell their rights? Who do you think? Who do you think? Whose cameo as Easter egg in Age of Ultron? Man, that language barrier. Who do I think is going to have a cameo at the end of Age of Ultron? Probably Adam Warlock. I'm hoping, because ever since Guardians of the Galaxy, and even which one was it? Thor 2: The Dark World. People have been like Adam Warlock. Like Adam Warlock. We want to see Adam Warlock. And I think that with Adam Warlock's cocoon being shown, the cocoon being broken, I think that people are going to use this as a chance to be like, okay, I think Marvel's going to say, let's just give him Adam Warlock and see what happens. Or what they'll probably do now is it'll probably be Spider-Man, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Spider-Man would be a much better choice to make than Adam Warlock, because people are like, oh my God, Spider-Man, yeah, and it'll get people really hyped up for the Civil War film. Explain the Batman Arkham games. Let's see your thoughts on Thor as a character in both Marvel Comics history and even the cinematic universe Thor. I don't know. Thor in the Marvel Comics is a far more capable Thor than Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think. The one in the comics has done a lot more. He has a much bigger backlog, obviously, given the amount of time he's been here, than the one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But the one in Thor seems to be... I'm sorry, the one in the comics seems to be more authoritative and seems to have a better idea of what it is that he wants to do, better idea of what it is that he stands for. The one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just kind of like, well, I'm here and I do some stuff and some stuff happens, but I'm trying to be a good guy. I don't know. Like one of the coolest parts, actually, one of the coolest things is after Civil War came to an end. If you guys remember during our videos about Civil War, we had talked about how Thor's hammer fell to the ground in Oklahoma, I think it was, or New Mexico or something like that. The Doombots descended on it, trying to capture it. The Fantastic Four arrived, held everybody off, and then like some man walked up and then picked up the hammer and walked away. And all he had said D. Blake. And so that was basically Marvel telling us that Thor came back. What we had learned, of course, when we talked about our Thor video, was that Thor had come back after killing the world, after killing the World Tree, sacrificing his life, that he had returned to the world, And so one of the first things he did is he started rebuilding Asgard. And so we actually established Asgard in the middle of somewhere in the United States. I can't remember if it was like Kansas or Oklahoma or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Tony Stark shows up, and Tony Stark's like, look, dude, you got to register. Like, either you're, like, he basically tried to pull the same stuff that he did with everybody else. And Thor beat the shit out of him and was like, take your threats somewhere else. Like, I don't want to hear it. And it was like, I will put Asgard where I want to put it, and you will say nothing about it. And that's pretty much what happened. And so that was really, really cool. I don't think that's something that you would see in the Thor from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It would just kind of be like, okay, fine, I'll just take Asgard somewhere else. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Heimdall open the Bifrost. Female Thor on the big screen, that's coming. I can almost guarantee you Marvel's going to bring the female version of Thor to the big screen. I've watched Gotham here and there. I actually stopped watching a while ago, so I'm not very current on Gotham. Is Renew Your Vows going to be a Marvel one-shot? I think so, but it might actually end up being a series. I wouldn't be surprised if, depending on the popularity, they make it a series, or it maybe it will be a series right now. I'm not really sure. Let's see. Edward Norton or Mark Ruffalo? Mark Ruffalo. I love Edward Norton. He was amazing in, like, I guess, it was an American History X. He was amazing in a lot of different roles, but I am a much bigger fan of Mark Ruffalo playing the Incredible Hulk at the moment. Any obscure heroes that you think should show up in the cinematic universe to show the mainstream audience? DC or Marvel? Not really. I think a lot of the audiences, big names draw people. I mean, people like big names. Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, The Flash. People like big names. I mean, it's, to me, I think it's more intelligent for them to say that keeping the big names and not bringing in obscure characters is the way to go. That's why I think Netflix is such a great idea, because now they can bring in Jessica Jones. Now they can bring in Luke Cage. They can basically say, like, hey guys, check these out. Here's some obscure characters for you, and really just kind of leave it at that. I don't think Marvel went bankrupt, but they were losing a lot of money. And so they sold the rights off for the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and for Spider-Man, their most prominent characters. Howard the Duck TV series, thoughts? I'd fucking watch that. Hell yeah. It'd be amazing. As long as it takes place in Duck World. Who do you want to play Captain Marvel, and do you like the character? Which Captain Marvel is your favorite? Carol Danvers is my favorite. I never really liked, or really couldn't identify with the old Captain Marvel, the old Marvel. I really couldn't get into his character. I don't know. It just he never really interested me. I know that, like, he died and it was a big deal, and maybe you had to have, like, been following his character back in the day. But for me, I always thought that Carol Danvers was a more, like, complicated character, and she had like this identity crisis. She was searching to be accepted. I mean, I liked her a whole lot better. Let's see. Oh God, so many questions. I'm not Mexican. What do you think of Invincible Image Comics? I don't think you've said. Not really. I mean, they're indie brands. They do pretty decent work for what they do. Honestly, I don't really read too much of any independent publishers, with the exception of The Walking Dead, which is amazing. Will you make a video on the Amalgam Universe? Maybe. I'm not really sure. Have you seen the preview of the new Howard the Duck series? No. Let's see. Have you read... Wow, there's so many questions coming in. Do you think they'll bring Superior Iron Man into the MCU? Well, see, here's the funny thing. That version of Tony Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe pretty much is Superior Iron Man. He's reckless. He just kind of does what he wants to. He doesn't really care. Like, I guess maybe before, like, the Tony Stark before he became Iron Man and Iron Man 1 was more like that Superior Iron Man, but I think they definitely need to bring him in. Now, here's the other question. Are they going to keep Superior Iron Man? I mean, he evaded what it was that would have reset him back. And so is he just going to stay Superior Iron Man? Or is he just going to like jump back into the realm and be like, all right, guys, like, we got to get back to being normal again. I can't be crazy all the time. Let's see. What do I think about the Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? They haven't really told us anything about him yet. We don't really know much about him. What are your thoughts on the CW Flash series? The Flash series is amazing. I love the Flash TV show. I mean, I really enjoyed the idea of the Flash, because the way he's done. I think this version of Barry Allen is young. He's inexperienced. He's trying to figure himself out. He's trying to base, a life of previously having like fallen in love with Iris and then her rejecting him, and then him going after somebody else, and then now Iris is chasing after him, and so on and so forth. I think those are like a lot of real world elements that I think are incorporated into the TV show, although they're really just kind of like, blown out of proportion. But I think that in the end, it's turned out to be a pretty awesome show so far. Rob, after Thanos, should they go to Kangor to Skrulls? And can they do that? I don't remember if I think Marvel has the rights to the Skrulls. I don't remember off the top of my head. That one's actually one that I'm not sure about. Will X-Men Apocalypse fail? Not at all. I don't think so. I think that Fox is learning from their mistakes. I think that what Fox is doing is they're sitting down and they're saying, okay, look, everybody's tired of seeing the X-Men characters come back. They're tired of seeing that. Now, obviously, they're going to keep Hugh Jackman because, by God, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine now, and they'd be a fool to let him go. But I think that they're learning from a lot of their mistakes, and I think that recasting Jean Grey, Cyclops, and so on, and then having them go against a villain, which historically in the comics they just couldn't defeat, I think is a smart idea, because it's going to give us a story whereby the X-Men just don't win, where the X-Men just hold him off. They just don't actually kill, or I guess permanently defeat Apocalypse. Now that's the question that a lot of us who are fans of Apocalypse and of the X-Men are asking. Are they going to actually defeat him? And if they do, I would be profoundly disappointed, because 1, he's a villain that's a recurring villain. 2, he can't be killed because he's immortal. And 3, he just is too powerful. Yes, I think Steve Rogers will die in the cinematic universe. I don't think he'll die during Civil War. He'll probably die during Infinity War. But I think he'll die. And I think that that Anthony Mackie will pick up the role of Captain America and just be the all-new Captain America like in the comics. Let's see. Hugh Jackman. Let's see. It's juice. Oh, you guys thought this was wax in here. No, it's not wax. It's juice. Oh, man. Do I think that Dr. Octopus will return to Spider-Man? I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't... Oh, okay. Oh, God. See, I knew this was coming. Tell me what Nick Fury said to Thor. All right. Let me know if you guys want me to tell you what my theory is on what Nick Fury said to Thor. And I'll tell you guys what it is. I was curious to see if anybody would be able to guess it, but I don't think anybody would really guessed it right. You said without the actual guy called Infinity existing, the universe would come to an end. So if Infinity died, how is everything still there? Still here? No, 1, this is an alternate reality. And 2, like, the cosmic entities can be killed. I mean, just because a cosmic entity dies doesn't mean that everything's going to go away. Let's see. Without the actual guy called Infinity, the universe would just come to an end. No. I don't remember saying that. When did I say that? No, cosmic entities can die. Like, here's a really good example. The Cancerverse. During the, Thanos Imperative, as a result of Annihilation, I think it was, or maybe Annihilation Conquest, there was a rift in space that was being guarded all the time. And eventually, the Magus returned, and he teleported a whole bunch of planets and ships to the rift, blew him up, and then ripped the rift open. And on the other side was the Cancerverse, where Mistress Death had been killed, and so no one could die. And so all the superheroes became supervillains. Like, they were just evil, and they were just like, basically like filling that universe to the point where it just couldn't contain any more life. And so they just started spilling over into our universe, into the Earth 616 universe, and that gave us the whole Thanos imperative thing. Oh my god. I just scroll down and people are just like, yes, yes, tell us what your thoughts are. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Here we go. When Thor died during Thor Ragnarok, like we had explained, Ragnarok is the cycle of life and death. Ragnarok is when the entire Asgardian continuity gets killed off, and then it's reborn again, with its previous inhabitants never knowing about its previous existence, with the exception of Odin, who was informed by the ones who sit above in shadow. The ones who sit above in shadow are the ones that feed off this cycle of Ragnarok, this cycle of life and death. Now, that being said, when Thor figured out what was going on, when he learned what was going on, he decided the only way to end the cycle of Ragnarok was to kill the ones who sit above in shadow. More specifically, to kill the World Tree. Now, the World Tree is I guess it's Yggdrasil, or I can't really pronounce that. I'm not really good with like Norwegian wording, but in any event, the World Tree exists as like this. It's kind of hard to explain. If you guys saw Thor, the original Thor, that's the easiest way to explain it. It holds all these different things. I think that when Nick Fury told Thor that he had destroyed the World Tree, he set in motion a series of events that would ultimately lead up to what would become the incursions, and that he basically kicked it all off. And the reason why is because there's a point in the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. God, I can't remember now. Maybe it's the Thor comics. In any event, there's a point where Galactus comes. He comes to... I don't think he comes to Asgard. I think he visits with Reed Richards and says that he will be there when the world ends, when the universe ends, when the universe ends due to heat death or whatever it is. But that the Galactus seed in the World Tree, which they're pretty much the same thing, is basically going to. God, I'm trying to remember this. It's the key to everything, if I remember him saying that correctly. In any event, it was a Hickman story. And the way that Jonathan Hickman writes his story, they're all tied together. Like, everything's tied together. The original, I guess the Hickman run of the Fantastic Four, Hickman's run of the Avengers and the New Avengers are all tied together. You could literally jump from one to the next and go from there. Those drawings on the wall, though, yeah, I had those commissioned. Yeah, they're pretty awesome, I think. Will you be attending the con in Lex in 2 weeks? Yes. Okay. For those of you guys, I don't know how many of you guys live in Lexington, or live, well, maybe even live in Lexington, Kentucky, but how many of you guys live around Kentucky? But there is a comic book convention here in Lexington in 2 weeks, and March 13th through 15th, I think. Actually, let me double check, and I'll tell you for sure. But I will be there. March 13th through 15th. I will be here at this comic book convention. I already bought my ticket. I'm going to be there for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or maybe just Saturday and Sunday. I don't remember. But I don't know if any of you guys would be around here and want to hang out or anything like that. But let me know. And I think it'd be cool to chill with you guys. Let's see. Should Spider-Gwen be in the MCU? Definitely. If for no other reason than the fact that she's become a fan favorite for a lot of Spider-Man fans, and they just want to see her in the film. It can't hurt. I mean, to have a woman with spider powers in there, and to also have Gwen Stacy to a degree, it'd be a great way to bring back Emma Stone. Assuming that she'd be up for the athletic role, I'm not really sure if she would be, but I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool, to see her in the cinematic universe. Onslaught with Poe and Goliath. See, all right. So here's one of the funny things. People always ask the question. Like, they ask me questions like that, like who would win, Onslaught versus Apocalypse? We know that Onslaught would win, and the reason why we know is because of the Onslaught saga, and we know this because almost the entire time the Watcher is hanging out with Apocalypse. And the Watcher is like, you need to do something. Like, you need to get involved here. Because if you don't, like, Onslaught's going to kill everybody and then he's going to kill you. And so Apocalypse is like, okay. And so he gets together with Cable, and they jump onto the astral plane. And it actually turns out that Apocalypse wanted to kidnap Franklin Richards, I think, and then Susan Storm is there, and all kinds of other stuff. But nonetheless, it was a really cool story from the 1990s. Yeah, it was pretty big. Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy in the MCU? Definitely Gwen Stacy. Who do you think Nova should be in the MCU? Okay, are we talking about Nova like Sam Alexander or Richard Rider? Are the Beyonders causing the incursions? No, the Beyonders are not causing the incursions. The Beyonders are simply just trying to speed it up a bit, I guess. Scarlet Witch's Pestilence will be a good one. Let's see. Do I like MF Doom? Like motherfucking Doom? I don't know. Do you think the Watcher will be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't think so. I think the Watcher is a Fantastic Four property because he largely appeared, like first appeared in the Fantastic Four, was largely part of the Fantastic Four. I don't think that Marvel owns the rights to him in terms of the films. What do I think about Deathstroke? I think Deathstroke is an amazing character. I actually love Deathstroke's new book. I love Deathstroke's new his solo series that DC is running. I actually went out and bought what was it? His new 52, the new 52 storage unit. I think I actually got the Secret Origins, where they basically like explain the whole backstory of his character. I like how they started out with him saying that he was like an army recruit who for some reason just had like this kind of predisposition towards being very like a very effective killer. And then as time progressed, he eventually just became insane. He was driven by madness and and ultimately, I guess, just sacrificed his entire family for the purpose of what is MF Doom? I don't know what MF. I don't know what you're saying with what MF stands for. Goku. Okay, Goku versus anybody. Like Goku's gonna win. That's just all there is to it. What are my thoughts on Big Hero 6? Big Hero 6 is amazing. Oh my god, I loved Big Hero 6. Big Hero. Okay, so I sat down and watched like Big Hero 6, the film, and it was hilarious. I mean, MF Doom is a rapper, Mark. I don't know. I think he's a rapper. I didn't know he was a rapper. All right, I don't know. I didn't know that. Um, you guys made me forget what I. Oh yeah, so Big Hero 6. So I sat down and watched Big Hero 6, and Big Hero 6 was incredible. Like it was a hilarious movie. I thought that it was a great blend of action and suspense and comedy. It amazes me how far movies have come in terms of CGI. But after getting past the fact that it wasn't going to be like a film based on Big Hero 6, the comic book stories, which are so obscure they might as well not matter, I thought it was awesome. And I think it was really kind of unreasonable to say like it should have been based on the comic stories because why would it be? I mean, like until this came out, like people, I think until Big Hero 6 came out, people didn't know who Big Hero 6 was. Are the Beyonders a match for the One Above All? So we don't know that. We know the Beyonders kill the Living Tribunal. They've killed cosmic entities. But we don't know if their power rests somewhere between the Living Tribunal and the One Above All. We don't know how close the power of the Living Tribunal is to the One Above All. I mean, it could be that there's several orders of separation between the Living Tribunal and the One Above All. Or it could be the Living Tribunal is right below him, in which case the Beyonders are on par with the One Above All. We know that in Secret Wars 2, the original Beyonder had enough ability, had enough power to rival the Living Tribunal. And so it could very well be that these Beyonders are far more powerful than the Living Tribunal itself, or even on par with his abilities. So we don't really know. But what we do know is that during Spider-Man One More Day, during the Back in Black storyline, that the One Above All had basically said that everything lives and everything dies, and that in the end, everything will come to an end. And so I don't think the Living Tribunal is at any point going to enter, or I'm sorry, the Living Tribunal, the One Above All is at any point going to enter this fray, that he's simply going to allow things to play out and see what happens. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool. Will I ever talk about the Mortal Kombat comics? I don't know. um, Zack Snyder's definitely adapting New 52. The Superman that we saw in Man of Steel is New 52 Superman. I'll probably get in Deadpool Kills Deadpool because that gives us like the Deadpool core, and it introduces us to like all these different versions of Deadpool, which is kind of cool. Let's see. What do you think about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. introducing the Inhumans to the MCU? I think it's a good idea, but again, we don't really know too much about them. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about them. We need a mature rating, rated R from Marvel. Oh yeah, we definitely need a rated R Deadpool movie. If they're going to do Deadpool right, it needs to be rated R, and it'll be hilarious. What's your most anticipated for Marvel Phase 3? Guardians 2, Avengers 3, Part 1, Avengers 3, Part 2, etc. Have you watched Constantine? What do you think about... Oh my god. What do you think about Suicide Squad? I am down. Like, I'm really looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Because Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was a great break away from the monotony. Like, the problem is that up to this point, the Marvel films have just been so serious. You know, it's always just been like, oh my god, I'm Iron Man and I'm trying to fix my life. And it's been like, Captain America, yeah, now I'm cool. And then it's like, oh my god, Bucky Barnes is back. And then we've got to, like, stop S.H.I.E.L.D. And we got to stop Hydra. And we got to stop these really serious things and so on. And then it's like, Guardians of the Galaxy, like, what's going on, guys? I'm Peter Quill. Yeah. It was awesome. You know, it was really funny. It was a great great breakaway from the monotony of this whole thing. And so as a result, I think that a lot of people are going to be looking to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 to break the monotony. I really hope it doesn't like become darker. Like, I really hope it doesn't walk into like the darkness of a lot of the other stories that they've had so far. But nonetheless, you know, I think that Suicide Squad is going to be a great story to tell. I think that I forgot the rest of your question. Well, oh, okay, there we go. Yes, I've watched Constantine. I've seen bits and pieces. I really wasn't too thrilled with Constantine. It didn't really just sit with me. It wasn't as though I was captivated and felt like I had to watch it. It was just kind of like, meh, you know. So it wasn't really my thing. But what is my favorite New 52 book? Definitely Court of Owls. Read Saga. Actually, I'm in the process of reading Saga at the moment. What would happen if Batman was to join the 616 MCU? What would he play? How would he act towards the heroes, villains, shield, etc.? The first thing he would do is he would figure out what all their weaknesses are. What was your favorite character in Guardians of the Galaxy? Rocket Raccoon, definitely. Let's see. Do you think Marvel will explain the vibranium in Ultron's armor, since it's from Wakanda, Black Panther City? I don't know. I think that they're talking about the idea of trying to like segue into Black Panther without actually having him in the movie. I think we'll touch on Wakanda. I think that we'll see a bit of Wakanda. I don't think we'll actually get into Black Panther proper. I'm not really sure. I mean, it'll probably be like a news blip, you know, or something like that we'll see some point during the movie where they'll talk about how a vast amount of vibranium has been stolen from the city of Wakanda. They might even talk a little bit about Wakanda, but that'll be about it. Okay. Donald Glover would be a great Miles Morales. How long do you think the new Spider-Woman comic will last? She was pretty unlikable in her first few issues, and it doesn't look like they'll improve all that much. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people seem to like her, but there's just as many people that hate her too, so I'm not really sure. Do I think Marvel will include the Ultraverse in Secret Wars or the future? I don't think so. I don't think it's listed on the list of things they're including, but then again, there's a lot of other territories that they haven't laid out yet, that they haven't outlined yet, and so we don't know. Yeah, there's not a lot of Batman questions. Are Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch Inhumans in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't know. I know they are in the comics, but in the films, I don't think so. It may be, though. We're not really sure yet. Vibranium was the stuff that made Cap's shield and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, it was. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up. We've been doing this for about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. So, yeah, it's been awesome talking to you guys. We need to do this more often. Again, if you guys are, if anybody out there right now is on Patreon, is part of my Patreon, send me a message. And next week we'll get together and I'll have a couple of you guys on here and we can talk about comics. And if you guys are interested in doing that, of course, you can go to patreon.com/Marvel Explained and become a patron if you want to. And I guess be part of live streams like this. Like, hang out with me and talk. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to an end, guys. It's been awesome. It's been fun, and yeah, so I will catch you guys later. Peace.